Hello, welcome to Wyvern Minis. Today, going back to old Heroquest, that greatest of games, and unboxing the Against the Ogre Horde quest pack, which just came in the post from Element Games. I found that they had a really good deal on it. So let's take this cellophane off. They've gone for the cellophane on this one again. One of the expansions they had like a nice kind of cardboard sleeve around it, which I thought was a good idea, but there you go. Avalon had gone back to the plastic. I like the artwork on the front, looking some pretty mean ogres there. So we get in the box and we've got the big tile here, which is for the arena. So on this one there's some optional arena battles you can fight, which sounds kind of interesting. A reminder about the companion app, which is very good if you don't want to have somebody playing as Zargon. I think it works well. And then some extra tiles here. Some of these are kind of like the preparation chambers for going into the arena and some other things, and this some sort of stone bridge over a gorge, and it looks like you can go outside. I think you can go outside in the frozen horror as well, but interesting set of tiles that really change the game up a little bit. And we've got the quest book here with this great looking ogre on the back. I do like that piece of art, that's why I used it in the thumbnail. I think he looks proper mean. So inside the quest book, as with all the other expansions, it shows you what models and tiles you get, what cards you get, and all the bits and pieces, paraphernalia. And then there's some extra rules. So I've heard about this quest pack in the past, and it does add a few bits and pieces into the game, some potential complexity, some different traps and things like that. And I think I've talked about this a little bit before, there's positives and negatives. I mean, Heroquest itself is a great base to be able to build on if you want to add that complexity. But then part of me thinks, well, if you want something more complex, play D&D, But anyway, looking at the models themselves, you've got this, I'll start with the big boy. The big boy here, the ogre, he is a bit difficult to get out of the plastic there. That's a great model, I really like it. You can see he's solid and chunky. There's none of that horrible flexible plastic going on. When I saw pictures of it before, I wasn't too impressed by it, but actually in person he's a lot better. I think he looks like he'd be a lot of fun to paint up. I mean, my whole mission is to try and make sure I've got a HeroQuest set which is full of models that I want, so I've been replacing them with 3D printed alternatives. With this guy, and indeed the other big ogres, I'm not sure I want to 3D print some alternatives. I think I probably just want to use them as they are. It'll make things a lot easier to just paint them up. We'll see if I can find some good ones. I've been struggling to find some ogre sculpts on My Mini Factory that I really like, but these ones, they're pretty cool. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're really decent. But they do feel really good in terms of like the quality of the plastic. So that's a big improvement over the original base game, because that was one of my big problems with that. We've got some smaller ogres as well. A couple of them are ones that you can hire as mercenaries in the game, and a couple of them are enemies that will attack you. They look okay. They don't look as good as the big ones. It's not because size is everything. It's just because I don't think they look quite as good. And then we've got all the cards here for the various bits and pieces you get in it. There's a new character, the Druid. There's the mercenary card. You can hire that mercenary to fight with you. And then warriors, commanders, champions, and the Ogre Lord, the big boy. So you've got everything you want really. They're pretty tough customers really, when you look at the numbers in detail. The Ogre Mercenary's got 4 attack dice, 4 defense dice, and 4 body points. So in terms of attack and defense, that's equivalent to having a battle axe as well as a helmet and shield. But the body points are a bit low compared to the heroes. But he's a sporting character, and the Ogre Warrior has got an extra point of attack and an extra body point. So pretty tough really. And when you get to the big boys, they are super tough. 5 attack dice on the champion, 6 on the commander and the lord. That's really the most attack dice that you can get so far that I've seen. Defense dice are high as well, and body points. I mean, 10 body points on the Ogre Lord. I mean, that's, you know, the toughest thing there is. Makes the gargoyle look like a pussycat. But this is supposed to be kind of a late game thing, and as we've been playing through the quests recently, the heroes are starting to level up, starting to get tooled up with equipment, and they're getting pretty strong. They managed to take out a gargoyle in a single turn, just with 2 of them. So, you know, I think by the time you get to playing this, if you played all the other quests, you're going to need to come up with some strong bad guys. So carrying on looking at the miniatures, this is the Ogre Warrior. A little bit of flex there. I think it's just because it's a smaller miniature, a bit thinner, but it's not too bad. And the Orc Archers and Goblin Archers we've got here. So this is interesting. You can replace the regular Orcs and Goblins with Archers and Skeletons as well. I think that's a really interesting thing you could do in the main game in any other quest, you know. So the Archers, they allow you to attack at range, unsurprisingly, but I think this would be a great way to make the quest a bit more challenging, add in an extra element of danger for the heroes, because sometimes you can get things all just jammed up in a corridor or whatever, but having an archer sneaking about would be quite good. In terms of stats, they are identical to their regular versions, apart from the fact that they can attack at range and diagonally, and they only get 1 attack dice when they're attacking something adjacent to them. And technically adjacent is just the kind of 4 points of the compass, although I think when I'm playing it, including the diagonals when they're 1 square away, seems to make sense for being adjacent. But there you go, that's more of a house rule. Anyway, if we look at the models themselves, they're very similar to the ones that you get in the main game. They're basically the same sculpts with different armaments. I've heard a lot of people moaning online about the goblins, primarily because they're really hard to focus cameras on because they're so small. No, I'm kidding. People don't really like the fact they've got boomerangs and little bombs. I don't mind that so much. I think it's kind of interesting. I think having an archer with a bow makes more sense, but I don't mind it. The Orc Archer looks quite good, but I mean, that flexible plastic. We started off this box with some amazing models with those ogres, and then you come to this, you know, this plastic is super bendy again, which I really don't like. So I will be looking for alternatives. I found some alternative Orc Archers, and I think I've got some Goblin ones from the same people that made the Goblin Warriors I already printed out. Skeleton Archers a bit more difficult to find because most people focus on the Tomb Kings because that's what you want for Warhammer. And then we come to the Druid, which is a new character that the players can use. There's a male and female version in here, and there's also a wolf, which is a animal companion. The Druid has an ability to shapeshift, but actually the Druid here doesn't shapeshift into a wolf. You've got a wolf as a separate companion that you can get for any of your heroes. The Druid seems interesting. They've got their own spells and their own abilities. I think it's a good alternative character. It's quite, again, it's really nice having some options within the Heroquest game system, but do you need too many options? Not really. If you want to go down character creation route, you've got D&D for making any character you want. But when we were playing the other day, the kids were asking about other characters to use, so we might swap them around at some point soon. And so the final bits and pieces in here are these bits of terrain, which are really nice actually. That's a really big solid ogre throne, and you've got these double-sized portcullises which open and close, which I think is a nice touch, because that's one of the things with the main game. You have to swap the doors instead of having ones that open. And you know, I've got Zombicide, which has opening doors, and that's much older than this game. Anyway, you've got these stone doors as well, so it's a nice set of terrain pieces there to add. Other bits and pieces in here, we've got various cards, various dread spells that can be cast, and then the Druid spells. These are specifically for the Druid to allow them to shapeshift. It looks like they should shapeshift into a bear, so perhaps if I print my own, I'll print out some sort of werebear. That would be quite cool, to show that it's done that. And there's a pixie and a life force, so it seems like the Druid is a supporting character more than anything. And these dread spells interact with the mind points of the characters, which is seems like an interesting mechanic, really. So overall, I think the Ogre Horde expansion looks like a really good addition to Heroquest. It is perhaps getting to the stage, as I've said a couple of times, where things are getting a little bit too complicated, maybe. And maybe that's taking away from the nice simplistic nature of Heroquest. As I've mentioned before, we're playing it at the moment with Matt from my games club, his 2 boys, and my little girl who's only just turned 5. She can cope with Heroquest quite well. A whole quest is quite long for her to pay attention, but she's all right, and she really enjoys it. If you start adding too much complexity, it's going to be too much for her. So, is it the right thing to add in all these extra bits and pieces? You could play other games if you want that. I have this similar feeling around the kind of arena. The arena edition seems like a really cool thing to add in, and it could be a lot of fun for people, especially as a standalone game or a one-off for someone that's new. It looks like it'd be good. But if you're playing something like that, maybe you really want to be playing Warcry or Warhammer or, something else like that. Perhaps if you want that kind of battle game, is Heroquest the right place for that? I don't know. I've not played it yet. I'm definitely going to give it a go and see what it's like. And maybe it makes a lot of sense. And I think maybe playing in this sort of game where it's simple with a bit of complexity, it'll be a good thing. A couple of beers with some mates, because I think the arena might work well for a kind of one-off game, whereas playing the overall campaign is great because now we've played 7 missions with our little party. We're now getting to the stage where they've got weapons and armor and they're really getting invested in their characters and really enjoying it. So I think the continuity of that kind of campaign in any game like Heroquest or D&D or Frostgrave or Mordheim or whatever you want to play, the continuity of a kind of campaign is really interesting, I think, and really fun. So anyway, I think Ogre Horde, a bit of a mixed bag on the models. I love the big ogres, and so I'll probably paint them up as they are. The archers, I'm gonna print my own versions for sure, because I'm not too keen on those. It's probably the same with the Druid, to be honest. Not too bothered about that model, but I like the idea of the character. So there's loads of Druid models out there, so I won't have any trouble finding a replacement for him and her, because there's male and female versions, and I'll be making sure that I've been printing out male and female versions of my models. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed having a little look at the box. I'm looking forward to playing it. There's a couple of pictures here of us playing our game the other day. I've got some of my printed models which I've started to paint, so I'm going to get them finished off nice and soon. There's going to be videos of painting these guys, and also I've been painting abominations recently. My Sahwalgin, however you pronounce that, that I printed out, which really nice models. So come back and see those videos. I will put a link in the description to my Heroquest playlist, because I've got a bunch of other Heroquest videos that I've already done, finding these alternative models for printing and all that kind of stuff. And something I'm really looking forward to is getting a Heroquest mat, and I see that Deep Cut Studios are now selling and distributing them, which is a much better price than you see them on Etsy. And I think the quality, I know the quality will be good, because I've got bloody loads of Deep Cut Studios mats for playing other games. I really like their designs, and their mat quality is brilliant. So yeah, I think that's what we'll be moving on to, having a game mat, maybe the Mage in the Mirror one, because that looks really cool. And ultimately I do want to get a board printed up, but that's going to take a little bit longer to get done, and I think we've got plenty of quests to do between now and then. So come back for another one, like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you soon. Cheers, bye.